All right, Emery, obviously not the way you wanted to end senior night, but if you had a moment to kind of reflect on what tonight was like for you and then this season, being playing with your dad.
Yeah, it's been kind of hard. It has been good. It's been a day of reflection, just appreciating, being able to play for your dad. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to. So today was symbolic to that representation. We still got a couple more games left, so just enjoy it. Just try to enjoy it in the moment as much as I can moving forward. But today was definitely a big day to represent that. And wish the results were different, but still appreciate this day and this moment.
And then you mentioned the games ahead. What do you think about tournament play? Add to the pressure, kind of take it off now that it's, win one and go on to the next?
Well, with tournament play, I just think we just got to take it one day at a time. And if you win the first one, anything can happen. I think it'll be good for us to take these days to rest, recover, and just get focused on whatever opponent that we have in the first round, and just try to take it day from there. We've been relatively competitive in pretty much every American Conference game aside from a couple. So whoever we have to face in the tournament, if our team has the right mindset, I'm confident we'll compete in any game, in any team we go against.
Is there anything, maybe one particular thing you look back this season and finally have a really stand out memory?
I would say just with this staff and obviously playing for my dad, but I just think the process as a whole, obviously my record doesn't represent how competitive and how good our team is, but I think the ups and downs and the challenges that we've gone through kind of represent the setting up the building blocks of this program and shifting it. So I would just say the journey and the marathon of being a part of building this program with people in this program and staff and the players as a whole it's come with challenges, but it's been a really enjoyable experience.
Does that make it even more bittersweet for this to be your last season here? A bunch of guys, didn't walk out on senior day and they get to come back next year.
It does make it a little bit more bittersweet for sure. It does. It being my last year, so trying to just enjoy the rest of the time we have with this team and go from there. Most definitely.
You talked about how close you were in so many games this season. How does that impact your mindset when you go into a tournament situation?
I think in a tournament situation, most tournament games are close games and they come down to the wire. And I think we've been in a lot of those games and a lot of those settings, and whether it's a missed free throw or a foul call, or we've been there in a majority of our conference games. So we're gonna have to be tougher as a team. That's one thing, because tough teams win and finish those games. But I think with the right mindset, we'll have an opportunity to compete and have a chance to win in those tournament games. So whatever our first opponent is, take it game by game, and I'm confident that we'll be competitive in those games.
Anything else? Everything? Thank you. So an open statement and then open it up for questions.
Listen, what I said to the guys was that, I thank the seniors. Obviously, proud of those guys. And anytime you're a first year coach and you're building a program, there's a heightened level of sensitivity to the buy-in factor. You really appreciate guys who actually embrace the new coach and embrace what we're trying to do and try And because of that, I also said to them that I do feel an overwhelming sense of responsibility for the fact that we weren't tough enough to come out on top in a lot of these close games. You know, I feel like that's a coaching thing. I really do. You know, yeah, making free throws, making plays, tough rebounds, and all that stuff. I think there's some responsibility on the players, but I think the lack of toughness when you put it all together and look back at it, there's no question that it's a coaching thing. And so I do, I don't know if you'd call it an apology that I gave him, but I did open up to him about that sense of responsibility that I feel. Tonight, you know, great job by Wichita State coming in and taking care of business and getting the game won. We out-rebounded them in the first half, and then they had a substantial edge on the glass in the second half, and that made a big difference. 18 offensive rebounds, right in their wheelhouse. And, you know, they got to the free throw line 22 times, but we got there our share. We needed to make some shots, but in general, we didn't have the requisite toughness that it takes to win these kinds of games, and hopefully we can find that next week.
As a coach, though, how do you add that toughness? What can you do to bring it out of it?
Be tough on them, raise the standard. I can't do that in a week, but you know, from a program standpoint, won't be a problem.
And when you think back at this season, how can you put your finger on how close you were in so many of these games versus the record? How big of a gap is there between those two things?
It's close. It's close. I mean, you know, you're in those games for a reason. You're doing something right. What's going to get you over the top is more intangible, and that's what I'm speaking to when I'm talking about the medal. You know, and I think that's what you're trying to build in your team. And specifically, you know, we weren't good enough defensively. We just weren't. And we needed to be able to lean into that because we're imperfect offensively in terms of some of the pieces. And so how we are to mitigate that is through a level of toughness and defense and rebounding. And so that's an area where we obviously need to grow and improve. And even when we talk that language to them, they get it. We talk a lot about moving the needle. We use Houston as an example because they're the standard for toughness in college basketball. And on the far end, you know, it's like softness, and we keep saying, let's move the needle with the goal of being really tough at some point. We didn't really do that. We didn't do that. We might have moved the needle some and got a little bit better in that regard, but we never became great in that way. Without that, we were going to be in close games and fall short.
And then how do you kind of translate that to a tournament situation where there's nobody here to play that you haven't been within 5 points at some point?
Yeah, something about March. There's some madness there. You know what I mean? There is something to it. You know, sometimes the spark is just winning a game. There's no practices anymore after that. It's all about playing. You know, so the days leading up to the tournament, you have to try to get a clear mind, put the past behind you, and make the most of it. You know, you talk to kids all the time about being in the moment. Well, at this time of year, that's the only way you can be successful is to be present, right? So we'll see.
And then not on the court, but I want to ask you the moment, senior day. What was it like to have that moment with Emory and this senior season and being coaching all through college?
Yeah, it was emotional. But you know, honestly, like, you know, that's my man. You know, like, even if I didn't coach him, like, it's not like we're closer because I coached him. We're locked in no matter what. You know, so it's just a great experience, one of the best experiences of my life to see him every day. You know, that's been awesome. But I don't know. You know, like after this year, I love Oliver, and I enjoyed my time with Kellen, and I really respect and enjoy my time with Jackson. And, you know, M's not gonna, you know, he ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna be connected with him no matter what, right? So, but those guys, you know, I don't know, I'm not gonna I don't know how much I get to see them once they go on and they start their lives and all that stuff. So those relationships, and you know, my whole style of coaching and communicating is about connecting in those relationships, and you know, so I'm looking forward to having multiple years with some of these guys and really be a part of their lives. That's important to me. And, you know, like I said, Emory, not that it doesn't count, but you know, I'm gonna be in his life. So you know, Allen, Kellen, and Jackson, I was a little bit emotional about that too, because like the buy-in thing that I'm telling you about, like those guys were really trying to do what we were asking them to do, and I really appreciate them. So that was emotional as well.
Anything else? Coach, thank you.
Thanks, guys.